You'll see I got some guests in the studio today, which always excites me. And it's some of my favorite people since I've started working here at SuperTalk. Gotten to know the Wilmoths through their journey with Huntington's disease. You hear us talk about that often here on the show, raising awareness. We've got wife Heather, and then we've got her husband Nathan in this house with us today. So welcome, guys.
Thanks.
You know, Nathan, this is the first time we have met in person, and you've been on the show. So this is a special day. So we're glad to have you here. And so, Heather, you have been the one that's kind of been out there from the get-go. The moment your family found out that you guys were going to be navigating Huntington's disease, and it's going to be as a family, you have just been shouting from the rooftops to just raise awareness about it. And there's a good chance someone's just hearing about it for the first time today. So let's just sort of start to the beginning since we have both of you here. What did your walk with Huntington's or introduction to Huntington's look like for you and Nathan?
Well, for Nathan, his mom had it, and she actually went into the nursing home. He was about 5, and then she passed away when he was about 11. I'd never heard of Huntington's until Nathan's sister and I were friends, and I knew that their mom had a rare disease that no one had ever heard of, and but I still didn't know what it was called. And then I met Nathan, and we started dating, and, it's still in the back of your mind. I mean, even the week before we got married, my boss goes, "Are you sure this is the one?" And I said, "Yeah, this is the one. He's got this chance of inheriting this disease, but I still want to marry him." And fast forward about 2 years after that, our son was about 1.5 years old, and my aunt had been pushing us to get life insurance on Nathan. I had it, but he didn't, and she's like, "You've got to do this. He's a diesel mechanic. That's a dangerous job. You've got Hayden now. He's got Gabrielle from his first marriage. He needs life insurance." And that was our catalyst for getting tested, because he worked a week to lose 10 pounds like that, and still got the high rate of insurance, and it was because of his mom's Huntington's. So he decided, I'm sick of this hanging over my head. If I have it, we'll deal with it, and if I don't, I'm getting that cheaper rate. But unfortunately for us, he had Huntington's. He has what's called a CAG in the Huntington's community. It's the CAG portion of your DNA. Everybody has the Huntington's protein. You have it, I have it, Nathan has it. It's just Nathan has it higher than you or I do. And that causes the CAG. And now, I'm not great with the science, but it causes the CAG portion of your DNA to have repeats. And say, for example, 20 and below, 28 and below, 29, 28 and below, will never have to worry about having Huntington's. 30 to 39 is a gray area. You may or may not develop it. 40 and above is you're going to have Huntington's at some point in your life. And the higher that CAG, the earlier in life you'll have it. Nathan's CAG is a 46, and he was diagnosed April 15th of 2016. There is a juvenile version, and it is so, I'm going to cry telling you about that. It is so horrible what it does. The adult version and the child version is so different, but yet the same. And
are they still both genetically connected?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With the kids, though, they develop it earlier in life. As a matter of fact, recently, 7 of our juvenile Huntington's moms were able to talk to the FDA about trying to see the medications that are available. Like Nathan takes a medication called Austedo, and it helps with the chorea. As you can see, he's sitting rather still. Most Huntington's patients don't. And of course the radio can't see, but they're all over. They can't sit still. They rock back and forth. Their arms flail. But with the kids, they have seizures. Some adults have seizures, but the kids will have seizures. They'll have enormous pain. One of the moms, the 7 moms were able to record what they said to the FDA. And one of the moms well, all of them had videos, but one mom, her little girl was diagnosed at 4. And it was just watching this child just wither in pain and seizures, and she actually passed away 2 weeks ago.
That's why it's so important, even though it's not like a friendly topic or a fun topic to talk about. And that's with any sort of medical diagnosis that's still sort of a mystery or doesn't have good medications or a cure, is the more you talk about it, the more it gets on the radar of science to be able to then help, bridge those gaps and sort of extend life expectancy, or at least better manage your symptoms so you can have a better quality of life. You'd take either one of those, right?
Right.
In that way. So Huntington's, you described it a little bit with the body movements, and you've described it so many times, Heather, I'm sure, but how do you help explain someone who knows? I think everyone who has heard of Huntington's before knows, that's not a good one. That's not something you necessarily want to hear, but maybe they don't completely understand what the family's living with. So how do you try to explain Huntington's?
It is a terminal, it's fatal, it's a neurodegenerative inherited disease that is like having ALS, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's all at the same time. There is no treatment. There is no cure. They can help treat the symptoms, like the medication that Nathan takes can help treat the chorea. Some people, with any medication.
But it's expensive.
Yeah, it is expensive. But, we're thankful that we were able to get some programs to help Nathan be able to get the Austedo. There's a couple of others out there that one, I don't think it's been approved yet, but it's on a track to be. And then there's a medication Nathan took before that it wasn't compatible for him. But there's no treatment, there's no cure. They can help alleviate some of the symptoms, but that's it. And Nathan will end up progressing, and eventually, and I don't talk this part in front of Nathan, but eventually he will be trapped inside his own body. He will not be able to speak. He will not be able to talk. He will not be able to communicate. And we just found out. And so we made the decision early on that we were going to be positive about this. And that his mom's walk with Huntington's was not going to be Nathan's, and his dad's walk with Huntington's was not going to be mine. And it has not been. For one thing, time. She passed away just before they found the gene that causes it and how to diagnose it. Before that, it was just kind of, okay, we think you have this. So, it's just
with early detection, Heather. If for families listening, did that help set you guys up for therapies or opportunities to delay or to intervene or to get quicker information?
If I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
One thing about it right now is if you think you might have Huntington's and you get tested, if you're not showing signs or symptoms, the clinical trials want you. And if you're barely showing signs or symptoms, and we're big on clinical trial. As soon as Nathan got diagnosed and we enrolled in Enroll HD, which is a database for Huntington's, matter of fact, that's why we went and did Enroll HD. Our doctor here at UMMC handed us a flyer and said, I know you guys have a heart for research. Here, call this. And it's to our doctor in Alabama. And we loved them both so much we kept both. I mean, we're really blessed. A lot of Huntington's patients don't get connected with the correct doctors. And the correct doctor means everything. But as far as delaying it or anything like that, there is no. Now you can work out and you can take better care of yourself, and that may help. But eventually it will start.
It will start to catch up with you. And also, though, again, today's purpose here on Good Things is to raise awareness. I know you've got your Team Hope Mississippi Walk for Huntington's Disease coming up, so we got more with the Wilmoths. podcast. We're continuing our conversation with Nathan and Heather, who are navigating life with Huntington's disease. Nathan has it. You mentioned, Heather, that he's in the, I guess, middle sort of stages, which is sort of the longest. And you guys are working hard to share your story for raising awareness. I love how you said, if you find out now that you have it or suspect it, then you are the ones that the clinical trials or the research needs. So it's important to know your family history and then to not be afraid of finding out, I guess, the gene. What would you say to that? If someone who's like, oh, I would just rather not know or figure it out when it comes, how do you help them weigh the options of that?
My brother does it.
His brother did that, kind of.
He didn't do it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be tested.
His brother doesn't want to be tested. His sister actually got tested the day, and I'm trying to be careful because it's her story on that, but she did the blood draw and she does not have it. The day Nathan got his diagnosis, she was getting her blood draw, but. For someone who suspects, that's really a personal choice. I do, if someone tells me, because I've had that happen before, I just don't know if I want to know. And I tell them, that is a personal choice. There are ways to be able to get tested. We have a friend that just started a company. That's what they do, is they test. And they, it's called HD Genetics. And, but I do tell them that if you're not showing signs or symptoms, you're who the clinical trials really look for, because right now they want the people that are barely showing signs or symptoms, because that if their medications work, you'll never have to deal with any more than what you're dealing with at the time you start the trial.
So from my perspective, as someone who doesn't necessarily have it in their family tree that I know of, I guess, and this would be from the way I would process it, if you know that there is a chance, like if your mother or it's in your family history, I understand not getting tested if you don't have a connection in your family tree to make you worry. You're going to worry anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're going to wonder, spend your whole life sort of figuring out. It seems like it's a little bit different than, say, Alzheimer's or some of the others where it's a crapshoot whether you're going to get it or not. And then I can see where, but to me, if you find out, you don't take life for granted. You figure out a game plan. And but again, coming from my perspective, how I would think sort of about wanting to know that information. But as you know, it's a personal choice.
Yeah, it's definitely a personal choice. But well, for one thing, you cannot be tested until you're 18 or older. My stepdaughter, Nathan's daughter, is 17, so she's got to wait a few more months. Our son is 8, so unless we suspect juvenile Huntington's, and he starts showing signs and symptoms of juvenile Huntington's, then they won't test him until he's 18. But talking about living with that, every time one of them trips and stumbles, anytime, any kind of off the wall, the first thing in the back of your mind is, oh my gosh, could it be? Please don't let it be. And then I have to shake myself off and go, stop worrying about it. It's
just for today.
They're kids. They're going to stumble. They're going to fall. And I really would have that more so in the back of my mind when Hayden was younger. 3, 4, 5 years old, when they really are more prone to stumbling and that kind of thing. And something I failed to mention about juvenile, a lot of juvenile Huntington's kids are misdiagnosed as severe ADHD, but that's not every juvenile kid. That's not every kid who has ADHD. That's just, it's if you suspect, and they really don't test unless they're showing the physical. So
again, you would need to know your family. That's where knowing your family history is so important.
Exactly.
How close in your family tree does it matter? Do you know? Like, I know your parents is obviously right there.
For example, our kids have a 50-50 chance of inheriting. My sister-in-law's kids will never worry about Huntington's. It ended with their mom as far as that side of the family goes. For us, we hope and pray it ends with Nathan, and that the kid, if our kids both test negative for the gene, then they will never worry, and none of their children or grandchildren or anything down the line.
Assuming they don't marry into.
Assuming they don't marry into, correct.
Right. Well, this is good information for people to know and to sort of wonder or have the conversation sort of about, and to also not fear and be felt alone. And I think that's something else you've done great, Heather, is create a community around Huntington's for Mississippi through Facebook groups and the walk that you have created, or I guess brought to Mississippi. So talk about Team Hope Mississippi Walk for Huntington's disease.
Team Hope Walk is Huntington's Disease Society of America's fundraising effort. They go on all over the country, and we did the first one last year. We really wanted to do one not long after Nathan got diagnosed. Our catalyst for that, right after Nathan got diagnosed, even though at the time, looking back, we can see he was showing the signs and symptoms, we just didn't know what to look for. And we let ourselves process it. But in the meantime, Huntington's Disease Society of America and a pharmaceutical group called Teva were giving away these, they're called Liftwear Levels. And it is a spoon that you can hold, and it doesn't matter what way that hand turns, the spoon never flips. It's got a mechanical whatever in it that makes it to where the spoon the handle may bend or whatever, but the spoon portion will not flip. And well, since Nathan had been diagnosed and I knew we would eventually need that, I signed him up. And these things are not cheap. At that time, they were like $350.
For a spoon.
For a spoon. $35 for the fork attachment after you got the spoon, though.
How kind of them.
Yeah. Well, and I get that it's not cheap to make these things. I think now they're probably about $200 to $250, depending on where you get it.
But it's a game changer.
It is a game changer. And after we received that, we wanted to give back in some way. And then we also had gone to Education Day at UAB. That's where Nathan's other doctor is. Victor Sung is there, and Joybin Wong is here at UMC. And we heard these kids. I mean, they were teenagers in early 20s, and they were putting on this walk. And we were like bouncing ideas off each other on the way back. But it was scary. And last year was extremely scary. This year's still scary, but we've done it once, so maybe we can do it again. But we're having it on Saturday, May 20th at the Flowood Nature Park. That's located at 4077 Flowood Drive in Flowood. Our check-in time starts about 8, and the walk's going to start about 9. Give or take. We're flexible. We are currently looking for donations, of course. You can go to hdsa.org/THWMS, and that THWMS is Team Hope Walk Mississippi. You can either join a team. We're very fond of the Wilmoth Warriors. We have a friendly competition with Team Turner, and they're kicking it. I mean,
who are not me, but who's the Turners?
Cheryl and T. Turner. They're from Starkville, and they are a wonderful, wonderful couple. Cheryl she's been the rock star this year. Last year, everybody kept saying, "Oh, you're the rock star." Well, this year, I say Cheryl's the rock star. She has gotten a couple of items that we're going to auction. We're going to try auction this year, and she has a poster signed by the championship baseball team for Mississippi State. And then and I can never say this correctly, and here I'm going to attempt it on statewide radio, charcuterie?
Charcuterie.
Yes, that.
I can't say your last name, but I can say that.
Okay. But, well, hey, you're doing better than I can't say it, and I'm supposed to be broadcasting about it.
I just had a love affair with cheese.
Well, Boar's Head is donating I think it might be 2, but I'm not 100%. But Cheryl's handling that. So you can go to hdsa.org/THWMS.
Well, I know there can't be only charcuterie boards and baseball posters at the race, so we're going to get that and more. TalkTV.com. We're continuing our conversation with Nathan and Heather, who are navigating life with Huntington's disease, and they've got their walk together, Team Hope Mississippi Walk for Huntington Disease. It's coming up in May. May what?
May 20th.
May 20th, and you were talking about this year y'all are adding in the auction and some other things. So round that out for us. How can we get involved?
Send us auction items would be absolutely wonderful. You can contact me at 601-754-6323. I know that's a dangerous thing to do, but I need help. Or hthurgood@yahoo.com, HTHURGOOD, because I've had that email since email was email. And so or you can contact us through hdsa.org/Team Hope Walk, well, THWMS.
Or you can also just get in touch with us here at SuperTalk because you're part of our SuperTalk family.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that it gets to you. And if your voice is familiar, where do people hear you from, Heather?
Well, I occasionally play Bob's wife on the 811 spots. And I can't even remember what the spot we were talking about was.
Well, it was a men's health spot, but also just you've been a part of the SuperTalk family for how many years now?
16. Actually,
you could drive now.
I can drive now. Maybe they'll let me do that. But yeah, SuperTalk bought our station back in 2006, June 20th.
In the Brookhaven area, correct?
In the Brookhaven area, yeah. I am the office manager for SuperTalk Southwest and SuperTalk Pike County. So I don't see Dave Hughes as often as you guys do, but I have to deal with him and Robert Byrd, Ben Sills, Randy Bullock, the whole
They're all
crew.
like, make her stop saying throwing us under the bus.
Right. No, they like to pick on me a lot, but they've got my back.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm thankful. I mean, my whole SuperTalk family has been so phenomenal. I mean, the entire company has been so phenomenal in helping us. I mean, from you and Paul Gallo and, I mean, Steve and Kim, everybody. I cannot say thank you enough. You guys just have no idea how much we love and appreciate our SuperTalk family.
Well, it is a family, and that's why, helping to raise awareness is the piece that we can at least play in the big puzzle that is, Huntington's disease, and sort of helping, hopefully, spear on money being raised and then research being done and then cures sort of being found. But, community is a big piece of just walking through anything difficult in life, and it feels like this can be a very isolating disease if you're not connected to community. So how do you also help other people stay? You mentioned a family in Starkville. So just because this is a walk in central Mississippi doesn't mean families across Mississippi aren't affected by Huntington's.
Right. At the last numbers that I had, there's approximately over 200 families in Mississippi.
That seems like a lot.
And when you stop and think, how many people are in a family? Some families have 6 kids. Some families might have 1 kid. Some families might have 15 kids. You just don't know. But, and you never know who may or may not be affected. And it's very isolating. We right after we got Nathan's diagnosis, we felt alone. We knew absolutely no one that had this. And so that's why, with the help of Dave Hughes, we created the Facebook page, the Mississippi Huntington's Disease Support and Family Awareness Group. And if you want to join our group, you're more than welcome. But we do ask that you answer the questions, because we had a lot of people that were joining that were not. They saw MS for Mississippi as the abbreviation, so we had to spell Mississippi out because they thought it was for a different disease. But also we had a lot of people. Sorry, I thought he was going to sneeze there. I know it looked like I was about to slap him, but I wasn't. I was grabbing the tissue.
Not this time, anyway.
Not this time, anyway. He's behaving so far. But no, seriously. Back on track. Now I'm off track a little. But anyway, you just never know. And you don't. we don't want people to feel like we did when Nathan got diagnosed. I mean, we felt like there's a parable about a peasant that walks up to a king and says, hey, I'd love to be you for a day. And then the king says, okay, here, sit in my throne. And then the peasant looks up and sees a sword hanging by one horsehair above the throne. And that's how we felt. We felt like that horsehair was about to be cut and the sword was about to come down on us. And then we realized there's still a lot of life left to live.
Absolutely.
Yes, we're dealing with this horrible disease, but he's still here. We're still living our lives, and we made a conscious effort that we were going to live it as positively as we can. And we might overshare on Facebook. Like yesterday, I shared pictures of Nathan's MRIs of his brain from 2016. He had an MRI done just after he got diagnosed. And then there was a separate concern that we were concerned about. So they ordered another MRI, and seeing the difference. And that's just, I mean, telling our story is the way we spread awareness and advocate. I mean, you know, there was the Huntington's Parity Act, but it's off the table right now. It didn't go through, but that was ALS has one that basically what it does is it waives the 6-month waiting period for disability and the 2-year waiting period for Medicare. We were blessed in that I was pretty proactive. When Nathan got his diagnosis, I happened to be on the board of directors at our local community theater with a girl who worked at Social Security. And I'm like, hey, look, when we get done selling these T-shirts, I really need to pick your brain. And we actually were able to get things rolling so that when Nathan had to stop working, it was already all in place because they had modified his job. At that time, he was hired to put decals on the sides of certain moving vans that I don't know if I'm allowed to say or not, but you see them everywhere. And it's like, I'm from Wyoming, I'm from Mississippi kind of thing. And after about the 3rd decal, they changed Nathan's job. And because of that, we were able to go ahead and file for our Social Security or for his disability.
I used to work on the big trucks.
He used to work on the big trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a diesel mechanic. And so that's just another thing, too. If you think or you're suspecting you might have Huntington's, and, you know, if you do, then, or if you do decide to get tested and you have it, you can go ahead and be proactive while you're still well before you get sick and have the signs and symptoms. You can already start having things in place, or at least know the direction to go. You can plan for these things. Like, for example, right now, you know, we're about to start trying to renovate my mom's house to make it accessible for Nathan. When you're young, you don't think about that kind of thing.
Right.
Of what you're going to need when you get older, because, you know, I'm young. I'm never going to get, you know, it's never going to happen to me.
Put the main bedroom on the top floor. That's a great idea.
Yeah. You don't stop to think about those kind of things. He did that.
Bad idea.
Yeah. But and like our previous house had steps up everywhere, and it was not conducive for his disease. So I guess that would be another piece of advice that just popped in my head in our discussion, that if you decide to test early, or decide to test and it's before you're showing signs and symptoms, you can go ahead and have that pre-planning done. I will say, and maybe I shouldn't say this on our recommendation is always get your affairs in order before you ever decide to test. Because once you test, it's too late.
It's emotional.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good advice, though. I mean, you know, I don't think anyone's going to take you away for jail for that. But
Okay, hopefully not.
I don't think. Nobody's like, we'll bolt the door.
Okay. Just watch my vehicle in the parking lot, and I'll borrow someone else's.
No, but that's good advice and things to think through. And Heather, it's always a pleasure having you on and talk about it. We want to help every way we can. Nathan, it was been such a pleasure getting to meet you. You're welcome back anytime that you want to come. But I want to make sure you give folks directions on where to sign up for the walk and learn more information.
The walk is Saturday, May 20th, Flowood Nature Park. You can go to hdsa.org/THWMS, Team Hope Walk, Mississippi. You can join a walk. You can just donate. You don't have to be part of a team, or you can be a part of a team.
All righty. You guys stick with us. We got more.